American pickers helped the Black Keys' Dan Auerbach buy a 1958 Gretsch Chet Atkins guitar. At this point in time, history's thrilling, informative, and sometimes hilarious reality series, American Pickers, has arguably been kicking around the television landscape long enough to boast a vintage label of its own. That's especially true when you factor in just how many other shows have come and gone since the series debuted in 2010. And during the Antiquing series' surprising lengthy small-screen runs, series creator and host Mike Wolfe and his various cohorts have kept viewers well entertained as they scour backyards, barns, and storage units across the country in search of coveted and rusted and quite often shamefully discarded vintage treasures. Over the years, the list of obscure objects that have passed through the hands of the American Pickers teams has included vintage toys, classic cars and motorcycles, forgotten Hollywood relics, and all manner of items in between. But one area of antiques Wolfe and his crew have not often ventured into is the world of vintage musical instruments. During a Season 13 episode, however, Wolfe and his former co-host Frank Fritz got their hands on a highly sought-after 1958 Chet Atkins model Gretsch guitar and were looking to swing a potentially lucrative deal for it. Luckily, the duo found a most willing buyer in indie rock icon Dan Auerbach of the Black Keys. Dan Auerbach is of course best known to many as the frontman of the beloved blues-infused garage rock outfit, the Black Keys. And if you are at all familiar with the band, you know they are gleefully obsessed with crafting modern rock bangers with a distinctly vintage sound. Auerbach has apparently studied up on the world of vintage instruments too, and he's visibly excited when the American Pickers crew walk into his studio with a 58 Gretsch. He even claims the Chet Atkins model is probably the most desirable Gretsch. I've never ever even played one, he said. Auerbach is clearly bent on changing the fact once Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz unveil the instrument, there's a difference between the guitar collectors collect and ones that players use. The rockers note adding the one as a player's guitar. Auerbach does his due diligence before attempting to strike a deal, carefully looking the instrument over to see what might need to be replaced or repaired. He does the same for a vintage Fender amp Wolfe and Fritz packaged with a Gretsch width. Once the gang starts kicking around numbers for the package, surprisingly little haggling is done, with Wolfe opening the bidding at $11,000 and Auerbach countering with $10,000. The latter figure was enough to Mike to turn a profit and to ensure the Gretsch would forever home in Auerbach's studio set. While we can't say for certain, we'd wager you've even heard the vintage beauty on a Black Keys album or two over the years.